Welcome to this video. This is a continuation of the previous video. So we will be discussing the Holevo bound. So Holevo bound is the upper bound on the mutual information between Bob's decoded message. So we discussed this in the previous video. So it is Y, the inference of Bob about X. So Alice's variable is X, or the variable that Alice has access to, and Bob infers about that variable using some sort of a measurement technique, and the final values that he gets is Y. And what is the mutual information between them? We will see how this mutual information is bounded. So suppose Alice prepares a state. So this is a state. So basically what it means is that Alice looks at a random variable X, and whenever she gets a value, suppose xi, so that is ith outcome, she prepares a state rho I, and then she supplies these states to Bob. And then Bob, what he does is that he just puts these states that Alice supplies to him in a quantum instrument. So this is important. So in a quantum instrument, we will see what this does. It is basically helps Bob to perform measurements on the states that Alice has supplied to him. So this is rho I, and the measurement that Bob does, it is done by a POVM set EY. So basically so the POVM set, so that means each of the operators are positive and they sum over to identity. Now this POVM is chosen by Bob, and then what does this means is that for a given rho X, what Alice has given, Bob can perform a measurement of EY. So remember, Alice states here I am taking them to be Px and rho X. So X can be like a discrete set 1, 2, 3 like that. So and now the trace of this quantity is just the measurement outcome of getting the value Y given X. So this is P of Y given X. And P of Y can be obtained, so P of Y is basically the distribution of this Y random variable, that is the inference of Bob, and it can be obtained by using this Bayes rule, and you can sum over this X. Then the point is H of X, so mutual information between X and Y is always less than equal to S of rho. Rho is this particular summation over X Px rho X. So summation over X Px rho X minus this particular quantity. So basically this is what the main theorem says. So the theorem has a lot of points encoded inside it, and we will see what these mean. So one more thing that is important is you can see that this Y that we have, that is inference, this random variable, it depends on these measurement or the POVM set that Bob chooses. But here on the right side, so the left side depends on this Y, which is the POVM that Bob chooses. But on the right side, you see there is no dependence on this POVM. So it is a global bound in the sense that whatever Bob does, he cannot exceed this bound. And this is the reason why, suppose if you have a Px and a rho X, so we call this, this is an ensemble. So you are preparing a rho X with a probability Px. And then what you can do is, you can always define this quantity that is called Holevo chi quantity, and this is always defined as S of summation over X Px rho X minus summation over x px s of rho x. So this is always this is the basic definition for whenever you have an ensemble. This ensemble can be written in terms of a state, and that state is you can write it as summation over x px. So you just put a register on the Alice space, and you know that Alice supplies the state to Bob, so you can put like this, and you can call this row AB. So we will soon see. So the idea is that this Helevaux-Chi quantity is nothing but the relative entropy between row AB and row A tensor row B, where row A is trace over B row AB, and this is trace over A row AB. So this Helevaux-Chi quantity is related to relative entropy, and this relation is always possible whenever you have such an ensemble. So the Helevaux bound just says that this is the Helevaux bound. Now we come to this idea of what is a quantum instrument. So basically, suppose this quantum instrument will be required in this proving this Helevaux bound. So suppose we have a system and a measurement device. So what we do is that the idea of quantum instrument is that you have a system and you want to measure your system sigma with this POVM set that has m plus 1 operators 0 to m. And for measuring, and this act of measurement can be encapsulated inside a quantum operation. So what you do is you bring in another system which is like a measurement device or a register. You can call it an apparatus, such that the dimension of this system is m plus 1, where m is this particular thing. So given this is the dimension, we have access to a orthonormal basis 0 to m. So now you bring these system and apparatus together, evolved by a operation epsilon qi, I will call quantum instrument, and then you can discard your system, and essentially your apparatus would have recorded all the measurement outcomes, and you can simply ask your apparatus, what is my measurement outcome? So to see this much more clearly, we now define m plus 1 unitary operators. So from 0 to m. So these operators, they are defined and they will act on this space of this apparatus. So how they will act, we will define that also. Basically, you define a unitary operator by defining its action on the basis set that you have. So basically, you have uy acting on the basis set I, and it gives you I plus y, and then you simply take the mod, that means the remainder, with m plus 1. So the example can be, if it is u0, then essentially y is 0 and it is just I. So u0 is the identity operator. If it is u1 and you have suppose m minus 1, you will add 1 to it, you will get m. And if you have u1, you have m, adding it to 1, it will be m plus 1, and m plus 1 mod m plus 1 is just 0. So similarly, you can show that u2 of m is also 1. So we have defined a set of unitary operators. then the quantum instrument operation. So essentially I am creating this EQI. So any quantum operation is completely specified by their cross operators. So I am just enumerating the cross operators of this quantum operation EI. So these are the form of the cross operator. So you can see the cross operators. On the first part they have this POVM, but there is a square root. And on the second part they essentially have these unitary operators that I have defined. So this is the set of cross operator KY. And now we can even verify that, okay, these cross operators, they are cross operators of a CPTP map, because KY dagger KY will sum over to identity. So that also can be easily seen. So you see you have a summation over Y like this. Now EYs are all greater than 0, because by definition they are POVM. So that means they are Hermitian with a positive eigenvalue. So I can do a spectral decomposition here. And if I now take a dagger, the spectral decomposition doesn't change. So essentially this dagger is not needed, because these are Hermitian operators. So basically these, so this and this will multiply to give me square root over E whole square, that is just EY. And U dagger will be identity, so the entire sum will be collapsed to identity. So now given that we have such a CPTP map, what we can do is we can look at this particular quantum operation. So this EQI, I will act it over this particular. So basically I attach my apparatus with the system, and now I will apply this quantum operation. And so essentially I just wrote the cross operators here. So these are the cross operators. So once I have written the cross operators, I get this particular output. Now you can remove your system completely. So basically you have stored the measurement outcome in a register. So this is a register.